My father forbade me from attending my mother's birthday. I don't want disappointments on her day, he said, so I told him, then don't expect this disappointment to pay for the $10,000 party. Then his face turned pale. My name is Bruno. I'm 24 years old, and for my entire life, I have been the black sheep of my family. Not because I'm a criminal, not because I'm a slacker, not because I've done something terrible. I'm the black sheep simply because I exist in a way that is different from what my father, Roberto, expected of me. For as long as I can remember, my father has always had favorites. I have two older brothers, Marcos and Daniel, and to my father, they are the definition of success. Marcos got married at 22, had his first child the following year, and now has 3 kids. Daniel did the same. He married young, has 2 kids, and a house in the suburbs. For my father, that's the only thing that matters, getting married, having children, perpetuating the family name, as if we were in the 19th century. I, on the other hand, decided to focus on my career. I studied engineering, working my fingers to the bone while studying at the same time. I stayed up countless nights, sacrificed my social life, and I made it. I graduated with honors, got an incredible job at a tech company, and at 24, I'm earning a salary I never imagined possible. But to my father, that means nothing. To him, I'm a failure because I don't have a wife or children. What's the use of all that money if you don't have a family to support, he would constantly tell me. Your brothers know what it means to be a real man. They have responsibilities, they have children to feed. You just work for yourself, you're selfish. Every family gathering was the same. My brothers would arrive with their wives and children, and my father would greet them with hugs and smiles. I would arrive alone, and he would barely look at me. During dinners, the entire conversation revolved around my nephews. Look how big Carlitos is. Sophia got good grades in school. Miguel is already learning to walk. And if I tried to say something about my work, about an important project I had completed, about a promotion, my father would simply nod without interest and go back to talking about his grandchildren. But there was one person in my family who always supported me, my mother, Lana. My mother is the reason I didn't give up. She's the reason I kept going, even when my father made me feel worthless. She always believed in me. When I decided to study engineering instead of marrying young like my brothers, she defended me. When my father told me I was wasting my time, she told me she was proud of me. When my brothers made fun of me for not having a girlfriend, she reminded me that everyone has their own path and their own timing. I remember the day I graduated perfectly. My father didn't go to the ceremony. He said he had to work, although I later found out he simply didn't care. But my mother was there in the front row, with tears in her eyes, clapping louder than anyone when I went on stage to receive my degree. Afterward, she hugged me and said, "I knew you would make it, Bruno. I always knew you were special." That day, I made a promise to myself. I swore that I would work as hard as necessary to give my mother everything she deserved. She sacrificed so much for me, defended me when no one else did, believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself, and I was going to make sure her later years were the best of her life. And I kept that promise. When I got my first well-paying job 2 years ago, the first thing I did was go visit my mother. I gave her an envelope with money and said, "Mom, I want you to buy yourself something nice, something you really want, not something practical, not something for the house, something for you." She cried. She told me it wasn't necessary, that she was fine, but I insisted. In the end, she bought a beautiful dress she had been eyeing in a store for months but had never dared to buy because my father said it was a waste of money. Since then, every month I give my mother money. It's not just for her expenses, it's so she can treat herself, go to the beauty salon, buy new clothes, go out to eat at nice restaurants with her friends. My mother worked her whole life cleaning houses to help with the household expenses and never indulged in any luxuries. She always put my father and us first. It was time someone put her first. But here's the problem. My father. Roberto, my dear father, is a parasite. He barely earns $300 a month at his job and has always been a freeloader, not because he can't work more, but because he's lazy and feels entitled to be supported by others. When I started giving my mother money, he saw an opportunity. At first, I didn't realize it. I would give my mother the money in cash, and she would keep it in her wallet. But I started noticing strange things. I would ask my mother if she had bought anything with last month's money, and she would say she was saving it. But one day I went to visit her and saw that my father had a new television in the living room. When I asked him where it came from, he told me with complete shamelessness, "Your mother and I bought it with our savings." Savings. Right, savings. Of course. I asked my mother about it, and she admitted the truth with tears in her eyes. My father had taken the money I had given her. He told her it was family money and that he had the right to use it. She had protested, but my father is manipulative and controlling. He threatened to make scenes, to yell at her in front of the neighbors, to make her life impossible. So, she gave in, as always. I was furious. I went straight to my father and confronted him, but he just laughed in my face. "That money you give your mother is for the house," he told me. "We live together, so it's money for both of us. Don't be selfish, Bruno. For once in your life, think about someone other than yourself." Selfish. Me, the one who had been supporting them financially for years while he spent my money on televisions and beers for his friends. But I didn't say anything more that day. I didn't want to fight in front of my mother. She already suffered enough. So I changed my strategy. I stopped giving her cash. Instead, I bought things for her directly. I brought her clothes, shoes, beauty products. I paid the salon directly when she had an appointment. I bought her food that I knew she liked. That way, my father couldn't take it from her. But he found other ways. He would ask my mother to sell some of the things I gave her to give him the money. "You have too many shoes," he would say. "You don't need 3 purses. Sell one and give me the money." I needed to pay for some things. And my mother, being the kind-hearted person she is, would do it. She couldn't stand to see my father angry, even if it meant giving up the few nice things she had. This went on for months, and I grew more enraged each time. But my mother asked me not to say anything, that it wasn't worth fighting with my father. "He's always been this way," she would say, "he's not going to change." And out of respect for her, I endured it. But then my mother's birthday arrived. My mother was turning 55, and I wanted to do something special. She had never had a real birthday party. Oh, yes. We had had small family gatherings, a homemade cake, some candles, a happy birthday, and that was it. But never anything big, never anything that made her feel truly special. So I decided this year would be different. This year I would give her the party she deserved. I started planning everything 2 months in advance. I researched event halls, catering companies, live bands. I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted it to be memorable. I wanted my mother to feel like a queen for a day. And I spared no expense. I hired the best event hall in the city, a beautiful place with capacity for 150 people, with gardens, fountains, and professional lighting. The rental alone cost $3,000, but it was worth every penny. Then I hired a top-tier catering service with gourmet food, an open bar, professional waiters, and elaborate desserts. That was another $4,000. I hired a live band that my mother loved, a romantic music band she had seen in concert years ago and couldn't stop talking about. That was $2,000. Elegant decorations, fresh flowers, a professional photographer, invitations printed on fine paper, another $1,000. In total, the party cost me $10,000. To some people, that might seem like an exaggeration, but to me, there was no price for my mother's happiness. She deserved that and more. She deserved to feel special, to feel loved, to feel celebrated. And I was going to make sure she did. I made the invitations myself. Well, I designed them and had them printed. They were beautiful, with embossed golden letters, thick ivory-colored paper, with a recent photo of my mother smiling. "You are invited to celebrate Anna's 55 years, it said. I included all the details, date, time, location, formal dress code, and requested an RSVP. I sent invitations to the whole family, uncles, aunts, cousins, my mother's friends, neighbors who appreciated her, her current and former co-workers. I wanted everyone she loved and who loved her to be there. Of course, I also sent invitations to my father and my brothers, and this is where everything started to go wrong. I sent the invitations on a Monday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, my phone started blowing up with messages. We have a family group on WhatsApp, one of those typical groups where my brothers share photos of their kids and my father makes bad jokes. I usually just read the messages and rarely participate. But that day, the group was filled with messages addressed to me. "Look, Bruno, we talked among ourselves and with Dad, and we decided it would be better if you didn't attend the party. This is just for close family, and frankly, with all the drama you always cause, it would be better if you stayed home." I stared at the screen, unable to believe it. Drama that I caused? Me, the one who had stayed out of all family conflicts, the one who swallowed his feelings to avoid causing trouble, I was the one causing drama. What drama have I caused, exactly? I typed with trembling hands. Daniel responded this time, "Bruno, you've always been different from the rest of the family. You've never fit in. You've never wanted to be part of the family traditions, and now you come with this extravagant party as if you're trying to compensate for something. It's uncomfortable for all of us." Those words hurt more than I want to admit. Not because they were true, but because they came from my brothers, from the people who were supposed to support me, understand me, be on my side. "I can't believe what I'm reading," I wrote. "I'm organizing a party for our mother, and you're attacking me for it." I didn't reply again. I left the group. I couldn't keep reading those messages without breaking something. I sat on my sofa with my head in my hands, trying to process what had just happened. My brothers didn't want me at my mother's birthday, at the party I had organized, at the party I had paid for. How was it possible that things had come to this? What had I done to deserve this treatment? I thought about calling my mother but decided against it. Not yet. First, I needed to calm down. I didn't want to worry her with all this. But it turned out I didn't have to wait long for the situation to get even worse. The next day, a Wednesday afternoon, I was working from home when someone knocked on my door. I opened it and found my father, Roberto, standing there with his usual face, that mix of arrogance and disdain he had reserved for me since I can remember. "Dad," I said, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "We need to talk," he said, and without waiting for an invitation, he walked into my apartment. I closed the door and followed him to the living room. He sat on my sofa as if he owned the place, looking around with that judgmental expression he always had when he came to visit. "Nice place," he said sarcastically. "Must be nice living alone in such a big apartment while your family is crammed into a small house." I didn't take the bait. "What did you want to talk about, Dad?" He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and looked me straight in the eye. "We don't want you to go to the party, Bruno." "And may I ask why?" I asked, although I already knew I wouldn't like the answer. My father sighed as if he were tired of having to explain something obvious. "Because you're a disappointment, Bruno. You're the only failure in the family who doesn't have kids or a wife. At 24, you should be established. You should have a family of your own. But instead, what do you have? A job and an apartment. That's it. You have nothing real." I felt as if I had been punched in the stomach. I knew my father thought this of me, but hearing him say it so directly, with such cruelty, was different. "I don't want disappointments on your Mother's Day," he continued. "She deserves to be surrounded by real family, by grandchildren, by people who have built something meaningful with their lives. Not this, he said, gesturing towards me with his hand. I was silent for a moment, letting his words sink in, and then something inside me broke. Something I had been holding in for years, for a lifetime of being treated as if I wasn't enough, as if I didn't matter. Then I won't go, I said in a low voice. My father nodded, satisfied. I'm glad you understand. But, I continued, raising my voice, don't expect this disappointment to pay for the $10,000 party. My father blinked, confused. What? The party, I repeated, feeling the anger rise in my chest. The party that you're so eager for me not to attend. The party at the elegant hall with gourmet catering and a live band. That party I paid for every cent of it. The $10,000 came out of my bank account. I watched as my father's expression changed from confusion to understanding, and then to something I can only describe as pure panic. So if you don't want disappointments at the party, I continued, walking towards him, you pay for it. Or can't you afford it on your $300 a month? My father stood up abruptly, his face red. Don't talk to me like that. I'm your father. A father who treats me like dirt, I said. A father who has always made me feel like I'm not enough, that I'm worthless, that I'm a shame to the family. And now you come here to tell me I can't go to the party that I organized and paid for my mother. Well, if I don't go, there will be no party. You wouldn't dare cancel that party, my father said in a threatening voice. I've already told the whole family there would be a big celebration. I've already taken the credit for organizing it. If you cancel it, I'll look like a fool. I walked to the door and opened it wide. Get out of my house. My father looked at me with a mix of shock and rage. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret, I said, is letting you treat me like this for so long. Now get out. Bruno, if you cancel that party. Get out. Now. Or I'll call security. My father stared at me for a long moment, as if waiting for me to back down, but I stood my ground, my hand on the door, looking him straight in the eye. Finally, he left, but not before turning back one last time. This isn't over, he said. Oh, yes it is, I replied. Completely. I slammed the door in his face. I could hear him shouting from the hallway, cursing, threatening, but I didn't open it. I just leaned against the door, my heart pounding like crazy, my hands trembling, but feeling free. For the first time in my life, I had stood up to my father. I had told him everything I had wanted to say for years, and now I had to follow through on my word. I took out my phone and called the event hall. Good morning, this is Bruno Martinez. I booked the hall for an event on March 28th. Yes, Mr. Martinez, how can I help you? I took a deep breath. I need to cancel the event. There was a pause. Are you sure, sir? The date is quite close. According to the contract, there is a cancellation policy. I know, I said. How much will I get back? Well, since you're canceling with less than 30 days' notice, there's a 30% penalty. We would refund you $7,000 of the $10,000. Losing $3,000 hurt, but I didn't care. It was worth it. Okay. Proceed with the cancellation. Understood, sir. We will send the refund in the next 5 to 7 business days. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, that's all. Thank you. On the day of my mother's birthday, my phone started ringing at 10 in the morning. It was my father. This time, I decided to answer. I needed to end this once and for all. What do you want? I said without a greeting. What? What do I want? My father yelled from the other end of the line. I could hear panic in his voice, not just rage. Bruno, what the hell did you do? I'm at the event hall and it's closed. They say there's no event scheduled for today. What the hell did you do? I told you what I was going to do, I replied calmly. I told you that if I couldn't go to the party, there would be no party. I cancelled everything a week ago. You can't do this, he shouted. There are 100 people out here waiting. The whole family, your mother's friends, everyone is here and there's no party. I felt a pang of guilt. Not for my father, but for all those guests who had arrived expecting a celebration. But I quickly reminded myself that I hadn't created this situation. My father did, when he decided to exclude me. That's not my problem, I said. Of course it's your problem, my father screamed. You organized this. You invited all these people. And you told me not to come, I replied. So I cancelled. It's simple cause and effect. Your mother is devastated, my father said, his voice now sounding desperate. She's crying, Bruno. All these people came to celebrate her and there's nothing. No hall, no food, nothing. I'm being made a fool of here. I told everyone I organized all of this, and now they all know I lied. There's the truth, I said. You care more about your image than Mom's feelings or mine. You took credit for a party you didn't pay for or organize, and now you're reaping the consequences. Bruno, please, my father pleaded. Fix this. Call the hall. Tell them it was a mistake. Have them reschedule everything, whatever it takes, please. No, I said firmly. I'm not paying for a party where I'm not welcome. I already told you that. And I hung up. I blocked his number immediately. Then I blocked my brother's numbers. I needed peace, even if it was temporary. That evening, at 7 p.m., I called my mother. I took her to the most exclusive restaurant in the city, a Michelin-starred one where I had made a reservation for 2 in advance. We had dinner, and I gave her a sparkling gold necklace as a gift, and she thanked me. Then I proposed that she come live with me in my apartment so she wouldn't have to suffer my father's mistreatment anymore, and she accepted without a second thought, saying she had wanted to change that environment for a long time. So this was the perfect opportunity. A week after my mother made the decision to live with me, the rental contract for the old house was cancelled because I wasn't going to pay that rent for my father to live comfortably. If he wanted to keep living there, then he had to pay for it. But one day, he called me from an unknown number. I don't know how he got a new phone or maybe he borrowed one, but I recognized his voice immediately when I answered. Bruno, I need help, he said. His voice sounded defeated, something I had never heard before. What do you want? I asked coldly. I need a place to stay. Just temporarily, until I find something. No, I said without hesitation. Bruno, I'm your father. You can't leave me on the street. I can and I will, I replied. For 24 years, you made me feel like I wasn't enough. You treated me as if I were invisible. And when I finally organized something beautiful for Mom, you excluded me. So no, I'm not going to help you. Ask your other sons, the successful ones, the ones with wives and kids. I'm sure they'll help you. I already did, he admitted, his voice breaking. Marcos says his house is too small. Daniel says his wife isn't comfortable with the idea. They say I'm not their responsibility. But I am, right? I said bitterly. How convenient. When you need me, suddenly I'm part of the family again. Please, Bruno, he begged. I'm not asking you to take me into your home, just help me pay the deposit for a small room, anything, please. No, I repeated. Learn to live with the consequences of your actions. Goodbye, Dad. And I hung up. I blocked that number too. According to what my mother told me later, my father ended up finding a tiny room in a dangerous part of the city, the only place he could afford with his miserable salary. My brothers, the ones who were always his favorites, didn't lift a finger to help him. It turns out their love and loyalty only existed when Dad had something to offer them or when they could use him to feel superior to me. It has been 3 months since then. My mother is happy living with me. We decorated her room exactly how she wanted it, with lace curtains, a comfortable bed, a desk where she can read and do crafts. Every morning we have breakfast together before we both go to work. On weekends, we go to the movies, to restaurants, for walks in the park. I talk to her about everything, and she talks to me. We laugh, watch movies, cook together. For the first time in my life, I am living on my own terms, and my mother is too. And for me, that's all that matters. Subscribe for more daily stories.